I have this project I've been working on. I'm really excited about it. And the idea is that you could take a Raspberry Pi with an ARM processor on it, program it with the code that I have right here, right here, and load the code into the ARM processor, build something that looks kind of like this, and then you'd be able to control the elevator that way. And so just kind of an explain of this graphic that I have here, which is to help make the code more sensible. The things are labeled so that we have these user inputs, which are going to be switches on the emulator here. Over here on the right, it goes 0 through 9. So over here I have 0 through 9, and I have labeled what they represent. So um, down here, all of the red are buttons. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 buttons there, and 3 buttons that would be on the controller inside the elevator. And so on the inside you can choose floors 0, 1, or 2. You can't choose floor 3. I kind of have floor 3 as like you get to it somewhere else, and this elevator can only be called from the outside, and then you can only go down, so that you can't go from anywhere up to floor 3 from here. Just thought it would be fun to do it that way. So um, on the ground floor you can go up, and that is, well, let's go through the buttons in order here. So if if the user input all the way on the right is active, which would be this 0 here, then that means that's supposed to be the same as if we pushed uh, button inner 0. So this one for the 0 floor. The next one is the button inner 1 for the first floor. So that would be first floor, second floor, and then there is no third floor. That was originally, I had that in there, but I decided to erase it. So then these are the outer buttons. Button outer, we have 0 up, which would be this one here, 1 down, 1 up, and so on. That's how those labels work, and that's how they match up with the switches here. Then we have the encoder, and for the encoder, it's just a memory address. So it's a memory address in the RAM. It's this first one here, which in hexadecimal is 0. And this will just tell us what floor we're on. There's where the encoder would be. Could be there. It could be other places too, depending on how it's built. But yeah, so if the encoder value is 0, it's supposed to mean that we're matched up with the ground level. If it's 1, we're matched up with the first floor, and so on. Sorry, if it's 5, we're matched up with the first floor. If it's 10, we're matched up with the second floor. If it's 15, we're matched up with the third floor. And the reason those go in 5s is because to make this do the encoder pulses, I have it use a loop, and I have to step through the loop manually. So 5 seemed like a good amount of times to step through to illustrate the point, but not for me to sit there and click forever. Then we have these sensors, which actually, come to think about it, I need to go back and change the code to add it so that it automatically sets these sensors. The idea would be that it checks the encoder value with the sensors as like a safety measure, and come to think of it, I never added that into the code, so it's actually not using these sensors in the code. The door open, door close, you have door open, 2 sensors, but I just have it as 1 input. Door close, same, there may be 2 sensors, maybe it's a pressure pad, but I just have it as 1 input. And then the green here is the motors. We have 1 motor for the vertical, so that's going to match with our outputs here, which matches with the LEDs right here. So if the rightmost LED is active, that represents this vertical motor being active, so we're driving either up or down. And then if the next 2, so what would be, if you're counting, depending on how you want to do your counting, whether you want to go 0, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, if you want to count from this way, or if you wanted to count the number of values, which this is a 1, this is a 2, this is a 4, this is an 8, this is a 16 that you multiply by 2 as you go across. So, and that's what I have up here. So this is 2 and 4, open left or right, open left and right. So 2 would be left, 4 would be right. two different motors. And so if these two are active, meaning if these two are active, then that means we're in the process of opening. And if the next two are active, we're in the process of closing. That would be these two, ones that are labeled 3 and 4. So that's what's going on with the outputs, with the motors, all the sensors, basically all the functionality. And so it's kind of hard for me to keep both up at the same time. So you just have to keep that in memory. Now as I step through the code here, and now I want to put this beside this. All right, so I already have my code right here. I'm going to reload it. Looks like I don't use that. Okay. Compile and load. Compile succeeded. All right, so we're starting. Let's get a little more. We're starting here. I'm just going to go through the scenario of, let's say we're on the ground floor, which I have it just for the purposes of the thing. I always have it first start up with it on the ground floor and it zeroes everything out. So let's say that we're on the ground floor, and when the time comes, we push this button for the first floor. And if I had this looping through, maybe I'll try that next. But so just going to the next step. So first we moved 4 into R0, 4 being it stands for something. Anyway, we move, it's supposed to be the register address 4. We move 4 into there, move 3 into 1, then we move the value that was in 1, which is 3. We move it into the address that's pointed to in R0, which is 4, which will be right here. And so basically all we're doing is initializing. This is saying the door is closed. See, closed 3. And in this, I don't actually think I labeled that right. I didn't put it in 10, I put it in 4, so this label's wrong. It should be a 4. Anyway, so there's a 3 there telling us the door is closed. What's next? So yeah, we're just initializing. I have it clear the registers so that way just to make sure I didn't accidentally have a value hanging over from the previous run through the loop. So the whole program sits in a giant loop. And the first thing we're going to do is read in our switches. So at this point is where I would have to push the switch. There are no controls for pushing multiple buttons. It'll just screw up the program. So in reality, you'd only be able to push one button anyway, and it wouldn't be coming in like this exactly anyway. So, but let's just say that we push this button, the number 1 here, which represents the button inside. So, okay, I guess we're already starting inside the lift somehow, but let's say we're inside the lift. We push this button number 1, and we request to go to the first floor. So, yeah, we did that. And I'm not going to go through every single line because it'll just take forever, but we get to this point where we're doing the movement, and that's what I want to go next. We're checking to see that the doors are closed. If they're not closed right now, it actually just exits out of the program. I didn't make any kind of a thing for that, but obviously you can't have it move without the doors closed, so that's kind of the thing behind that. So the doors are closed. So we came to this point in the code, and we are checking to see what the status of the switches is. So whenever we get to the one, like if it was, I don't know how to say it right, but it's going to jump to whatever part of the code we need to deal with. So it's not labeled very well right there. We are in, I think we're in this part right here. Yeah, so reading in the switch status, and we're gonna, so depending on the status of the switches, if they're all to 0, we're gonna go to the main loop because there's no switch active. We're just gonna keep looping around until someone pushes a button. If someone were to activate a 1, which having a numerical value 1 represents having the 0 switch active, like this, then that means we're gonna move to 0 because that was this first one here. We're inside the lift and we want to move to 0, and so on. I won't spend a whole lot of time, but as you can see, we move to 0. Do we want to go to 1, 2, 3, and then the button's on the outside of the lift, which is really where I should have started probably. But yeah, so then let's jump through that. We are in a place where we should end up jumping to a line that says move to 1, move to the first floor. So where's my jump? There it was. It jumped us to move to 1, so we're moving to the first floor. And now we, what do I do next? So we're getting this register for the encoder value. We're preparing to interact with the encoder value, and we're preparing to interact with the LEDs. We're activating the LED to say that the vertical motion is on, which was this LED all the way on the right. Oh, we're not there yet, I guess. We should be activating it soon. We were setting up the pointer to it, is what we were doing there. Let's see what's next here. See if there's anything really interesting. There we finally loaded the value from the register into the LED. So this would be, ideally this would actually be an output to turn on the motor instead of an LED. And now we're going to, ideally again, this would be inputs received from an encoder, but since I can't do that through here, what we're doing is we're gonna just loop through. And so all we do is, based on whether we need to go up or down, we first see which way we have to go. In this case, we were on 0 and we need to go up to 1. So it told us, hey, we need to go up to 1. And it's going to just keep adding 1 to the encoder value, which the encoder value is going to be represented in R2 and here. So this would be should be 048 in RAM address 8. So once that hits a 5, come on. Oh, sorry. I guess it counts it over here. I forgot. Actually, that might not have been there anyway. We'll see where it is after. I don't remember. It moves it over here when it's done. So right now we're counting. So we hit a 3 position, we hit a 4 position, and we hit a 5 position, which the 5 position is the first floor. And then now it get back to the beginning of the loop, and it says, hey, we're equal to our position. Did I already jump? No, so it should jump soon somewhere here. Where is it at? It's harder to look at it this way, but there it is. Floor reached. So we hit this section of the code called floor reached. And again, it's a little easier to explain it this way. So when we hit floor reached right here, right now we still have the motor active, so we're going to have to turn off that motor. At any point now we could let go of the button. This represents we're still holding the button, so we could obviously let go of the button. We could have did that a while ago. Yeah, so we still have the motor active. We need to turn the motor off, and then we need to open the motor for the doors, which should be these two, I believe, to open the door. Then we need to activate these. We need to wait for a little bit to let the people out. Then we need to activate these two to close the door. I'll just speed through this part really fast. Doors opening, and now we're hit the timer. So I still have the output on, but the doors are open at this point, and we hit this wait timer. You can see the timer counting in R2, finish counting. Should switch, doors closing, and I don't have a timer. Just imagine they close really fast. So that's pretty much it. Now if we go towards the end, it jumped back towards the beginning again. And now let's say we want to go to, now I can push one of the outer buttons, I guess. I haven't tested it, so if it breaks, I haven't got all my bugs out yet, so I don't know for sure if it'll break or not. We went up, let's go down. So let's say button outer 0 up. So we're on the 0 floor, and we push this outer button saying that we want to go up, and it is switch number 4. So let's activate switch number 4 and continue our loop here. And this time I'll just speed through it pretty fast. So if you basically just need to watch the LEDs, you'll see eventually, okay, our motor came on, and right now it should be it says look for 0. You know, that's not labeled very well. I feel like it should have said move to 0. Anyway, so is that counter? You know, I think maybe I found a, yeah, okay. And then we hit floor reached. So we reached our floor. It must have just killed that the motor. Now it's opening the doors. Timer lets people out, and now it is closing the doors. And I guess that's pretty much enough of that, but that's how the program works, and you know what this does, and a little view of the assembly code there. Um, I have a GitHub page. I'll probably put my code on the GitHub page. If anybody wants to fix it, they can. It still has a lot of bugs, and um, yeah,